All right, I'm scanning the dirt sheets over here. I'm scanning this looking for a topic. I've got a headline here that Kadyrov is looking to go into Russia to expand his MMA empire. Zidane wrote that. I have no comment because he does not have an MMA empire. Like, you've lost me right from Jump Street. All right, let's go to number 2. Grant Dawson wants Paddy Pimblett fight, and he wants to fight him in Russia. I apologize, in London, to prove that Paddy can be knocked out. I would love to fight against Paddy, Dawson said in an interview with Millions.co. We're asking for that fight in London, March 18th. I will go to his home turf to fight him, and I will prove that he can be knocked out. If that fight doesn't happen, says Dawson, I'm looking to fight Tony Ferguson. If that fight doesn't happen, I'm looking for Dan Hooker. And if that fight doesn't happen, I don't know what to tell you. Who else is there? All right, you know what, Dawson? That's good work by you. That's funny right there. Now, I got to talk to you about the negotiation tactic. When there's something that you want, and so you're willing to give to it, right? Like, there was just a fighter at 125 pounds, and I can't recall who it was, but if he could get a certain fight, he would give the person $10,000 for fighting him. Like, I like that because I get it. I get that hunger for that opportunity. You don't know what else to say. You're trying to show how bad you want it. You're also showing your confidence in case you don't get it, right? If I don't get this, I want to show the level of confidence I had and what I was willing to do in the hopes that even in not having to go into combat, I can have the perception of being better, right? That's what the offer to go to London is. It's both of them. And it's in that order. It is first, I want the fight and I'm willing to make this sweet for you. And then it's second, and it's smaller, but it's in this order. If I don't get the fight, I would like the world to see the perception. If you won't take the fight when I'm willing to do this for you, one guy was willing to pay 10 grand, this guy's going to London. I just understand it. On a personal note, I get it and I like it. I was so desperate to get into the UFC that my mother hatched a plan that she was going to bribe Joe Silva $50,000. She didn't know him. She had this plan, though. She got the money together, and her next step was to find him and tell him, give my son $2,000 to do the fight. I'll give you $50 if you sign him. Now, by the way, not only would that not have worked, Joe Silva likely would have blacklisted that name. But I'm sharing for you that I do understand that desperation when you're desperate for an opportunity. I'll also share with you, it never works. The same as Joe Silva would not have taken that money and would have not have taken those calls in the future and would not have worked with it. It would have gone the other way. It's the same thing that's going to go with Paddy when you offer to go to London, and I don't know why. There are people that are better at negotiations that could tell you this. There's a book out there that you might want to read called Never Split the Difference. Martin Floriani took a $10,000 company to a $40 million company, and he bought that book for every single one of his employees and had them read it. Don't ever split the difference. There is no reason to compromise. If you're right, you're right. And I can't do a better job on telling you why, but as soon as he said, I'm willing to go to London, I'll go do it in London, thinking that was going to sweeten the pot. Oh, you just got to get somebody to come to London. Paddy just did a fight and it wasn't in London. And just so you understand. And as soon as you start offering things like that, it makes you weak. I don't know why, because I'm with you. I've done it that way many times. I'll just tell Mr. Dawson and the rest of you, it doesn't work. For whatever reason, it doesn't work. As soon as you look like you really want something and you're willing to concede, you're willing to start giving things up before they're even asked. Right? It's a very different situation if they go, hey, I might be able to get the fight, but you're going to have to come to London. Let me think about it. I'll come to London. For whatever reason, that works better than coming out and offering the trip to London. And what do you do with Paddy? I mean, Paddy's not quite in the situation. I will predict for you guys, he's not in the same situation that you think. Paddy has been fighting lesser-known guys that we believe are going to have lesser skill. And it's a very unique situation to Paddy where he can fill up an arena to do just that. There's been stars over time. Mike Tyson, Oscar De La Hoya. I think that list needs amended. I think Conor McGregor, I think Floyd Mayweather need put on that list. But there have been stars over time who, regardless of who the opponent was, can draw. Nobody walked in on day one and could do that, except for Paddy. I've never seen anything like it. So there's no reason that Paddy would be taking on these harder opponents. There's no reason to. He's bringing the same amount of attention. He's got Dave Portnoy and company backing his move. So he's going to get the exposure regardless of the opponents. I'm just sharing for you. Why would you take on a harder guy now? While you believe everything that I just said to be true, and why you believe his next opponent will not be against a harder guy. It might be, because what difference does it make? Right? The Jared Gordon fight, Jared could have won all 3 rounds. Judge Chael. I could see that 30-27 Gordon. I could have seen that 30-27 Paddy. That was a really hard fight, but we can at least agree we had a competitive match, and other people are going to see that and think, I have those skills. I can be the one to exploit him. Well, I'll share something with you. Some of those guys that are thinking that aren't very high up on the roster. They aren't very big names, but they're damn good, and they do possess those skills to go out and expose something, or at least that they believe they do. So just imagine the two situations. You put Paddy in there with an unknown guy, and you go and get him a loss. The whole reason that you guys believe that Paddy won't be in there with a named guy is because a lesser-known guy has lesser skills, and therefore we can protect Paddy. That's what you believe. That has happened. You're not wrong to have stood back and to have made that observation, but what difference does it make once a guy is exposed? Do you want to get him beat up by a lesser-known guy that goes and takes that shine and takes that fame, but you can't put him back on the main card? If you do put him in the main card, you can't put him in the main event. Do you want to do that, or do you want to take your show pony and put him in there with somebody that if the guy does beat him up and does expose him, he's got a little bit of run, right? I mean, imagine being in Paddy's shoes. Paddy's doing the right thing. You fight the easiest opponent for the most money at all times. He's doing the right thing. But at some point, if you think this is going to be a margin call, you're much better to get margined by Justin Gaethje or by Michael Chandler than you are from Joe Schmo. So I'll just tell you, whatever's going to be next for Paddy, whether that's going to be in London or if he's fought his way and got out of London, right? I mean, that's a misconception by you. You think he's going to want somebody to come to London so he can fight in front of his home crowd. There's no home crowd advantage in fighting. If you're from London, the last place you want to fight is London. That's the mistake. Paddy got out of London. He got himself to Las Vegas. He's not going to want to taste of Vegas, the fight capital of the world, and then return to London is my guess. That's my guess. I am from Westland, Oregon. I fought all over the world. I never fought in Westland. And you want to know how many times I tried to fight here? None. I never told the promoter, bring the show here. It's different. It's not a home court advantage. If I can get myself out of Westland and I can get a Westland exposure, I saw that as a win. So I'm sharing with you, I don't think that you've got it right, thinking you're sweetening the pot by making Paddy fight at home. I think he finally found a way to get out of there, and he doesn't want to go back. That's my guess. But if Paddy is, in fact, going to go take some lumps, think of it from that standpoint. Is he better to lose to Joe Schmo, or is he better to lose to a top 5 guy? And while we might not have the answer on that, that might just be a topic for discussion. We might not have the answer. I can assure you that the decision makers are pondering that very thing. And your make-believe land that Paddy is going to continue fighting guys that you haven't heard of, that's going to end at some point. And I'm just here to tell you that might have already ended.